I'm about to say something I thought I'd never say. I don't miss my amp. Sorry. And before the amp army jumps down my throat, no, I don't think modelers sound as good as tube amps. Tube amps sound better. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I've been going ampless for about 3 years now, and I can honestly say that my needs as a musician, both professionally and casually, are best met through amp pedals and amp modelers. How did I get to this disastrous place where I now have no interest in playing on an amp? Well, it all started with my first touring gig back in 2017. I brought my prized boutique amp with me on the road, and you know what? It broke after the third show, and there were 12 more to go. Convinced that my tube amp was key to my tone, I refused to be denied, and I did a few more tours with the amp. Despite being constantly asked if I have a Kemper, being told my amp was too expensive to ship, being perpetually told to turn the amp down, I trudged on. Then in 2021, I played at a church that didn't allow me to play on an amp, so I begrudgingly tried out an Iridium, and I have to say, I didn't hate it. I could use all my pedals and sounds. The only difference was I wasn't lugging around a giant head and cab. That led me to the Walrus Audio ACS1, which I love so much I made it a permanent part of my pedal board. After a year of great shows, tones, and tours without an amp, I decided to fully commit. I bought a quad Cortex, and I haven't looked back since. The thing that sucks about tube amps is that you usually have to turn the volume up pretty loud to get the sweet spot. Even though this amp is only 15 watts, it's ridiculously loud. In 9 years of owning this amp, I've never heard it in the sweet spot because I've never been in a situation where I've been able to crank the volume loud enough to get there. At volume 1, my neighbors pound on the door telling me to turn down. Turn that crap off! At volume 2, singers are telling me I need to turn down on the gig. That's a little loud. You need to turn down. But all of that went away when I started using modelers. With total control over the volume, I'm no longer having to subject myself, my wife, my neighbors, my employers to ear-piercing levels of guitar amplification. I can get that coveted edge of breakup tone out of my ACS1 and quad Cortex and be completely silent. And this might be one of the most anti-guitarist things I've ever said, but I actually love not having to be loud. Having volume control that doesn't affect the overall tone is so underrated. I can play guitar whenever I want and always get the tone I'm after. For a while, I remember hearing different amp modelers and thinking, wow, that sucks. Oh. Gosh. Now with today's technology, pretty much every time I hear a new amp pedal or amp modeler, I find myself saying, yeah, it sounds good. The big selling point of the ACS1 and other amp pedals for that matter was that I could plug my pedal board into it and it was as if I was playing my board through my amp. I didn't have to do a ton of adjustments to the settings, it was just plug and go. I just read an article that the Edge from U2 is using the UA amp pedals in his show at the Sphere. The guy who is known for being particular about his tone has even made the switch. That's the last person I expected to move away from amps, but here we are. Modelers give you the ability to replace your entire rig. I just went through and painstakingly recreated my pedalboard sounds on the quad Cortex, and it sounds great. I just bring this to gigs now, and that's my entire setup. It's flexible, it's practical, and it gives me even greater ability to create tones I couldn't with my pedal board. One small caveat, I'd say modelers tend to be a little more of a labor of love. As you saw in last week's video, you have to be willing to put in the time and effort to adjust and tweak to get the modeler just to your liking. All of the touring gigs I've done have been with pop acts, and guess what? They don't want you to bring an amp. They take up more room, they're less reliable, they're loud, and the reality that none of us want to accept is no one can tell the difference live. Heck, I doubt anyone could tell the difference in context of a recording. The only people doing this... Is that a Helix? Helix. Yeah, our guitarists. Sure, stage volume and the air push you get from a real amp make playing more exciting, but there are some real benefits to going ampless. No stage volume can lead to a better overall front of house mix, especially in small rooms. Not having an artist ask you to turn down after every song is also a good look if you're trying to stay on a gig. Now that everyone is basically soundless except drums, you don't want to be that one guy at rehearsal who's blowing everyone out with their really loud amp and the artist manager is staring at you like, why is the only thing I can hear your guitar? It's just not a good vibe. Your stuff will sound the same every night. Room and mic placement play a huge role in how your tube amp sounds. By eliminating those variables, your tone stays more consistent night after night. Finally, the big one is ease of replacement on the road. If your pedal board breaks, gets lost, stolen, it's gonna be a challenge to go and find all those individual pedals, reassemble them, and recreate all of your presets. But if that happens to you with a modeler, all you have to do is backline the same modeler, load up your backup, and you're good to go. The JM pedalboard preset is available now. You can grab a copy of it through the link in the description. As a musician playing gigs, doing recordings, and working on arrangements from a small condo, amp pedals and modelers better meet my needs. It's nice that if I have to do a last second project, I can just grab my quad Cortex, plug it in directly to my computer, and I'm off to the races. Using modelers has made my workflow easier, show logistics simpler, and truthfully, I get as many compliments on my tone now as I did before when I was using my pedalboard and tube amp. So I guess you should just go and throw away your amp.
Bubba, I don't know about this.
No, don't do that. There's still a time and place for them. Let me know if you've also made the jump to amp pedals or amp modelers in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will catch you next time.
Are you sure you're not gonna miss your amp?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Are you really sure? Cause if so, I was thinking I was gonna have it.
No, you can't have my amp. I mean, what are you even gonna do with the amp?
Well, if you're not gonna use it, the raccoons and I can really use this.